Okay, so today we will be only doing Form 5 Chapter 1. So in the notes that you are having, you have Form 5 Chapter 1, the notes and also the question, and at the back we have Chapter 12 and 13 question. We will only be doing Chapter 1. The reason are because my students from different school, they have different chapters for exam. Some of them are having only Form 5, the first few chapter in Form 5. Some of them are having Form 4 at the back and Form 5 few chapter. Some of them are having Form 4 front chapter and also Form 5 front chapter. Some of them are having Form 5 back chapter and also Form 4 front chapter. So everybody is having different exam syllabus, but the midpoint is Form 5 Chapter 1 because every midterm in every school, they have Form 5 Chapter 1. So that's why I teach Form 5 Chapter 1. So for the rest of the Form 4 revision, if you want to watch the revision video, you can go to my YouTube channel. I have a list of the YouTube videos for you to watch if you want to have Form 4 video for revision, because today we're not going to teach Form 4. So you can just watch the video in the YouTube channel. It's like 11 hours last year revision class. You can just watch it. And there's also a PDF for you to download for you to try the question as well. Okay, now, Form 5 Chapter 1 is about plant. It's the first chapter that you learn about plant. May I know when will you post the answer for this later after class, yeah? Later after the class, I will just post the answer straight away already, okay? Okay, now, next, we have to learn about this organization of plant tissue. What is organization of plant tissue? We have to learn about what is this thing called meristematic tissue and also permanent tissue. What does meristem means? Meristem means young plant cell. Meristem means young plant cell. Okay, we have a young plant cell. We also have a thing called permanent tissue. What does permanent tissue means? It means they are mature tissue. So we have young plant cell, we have a mature tissue. We have two different types of tissue. We will start with the meristematic cell first. Meristematic cell, we have apical meristem and lateral meristem. Apical means the tip. The tip of shoot and root, we call this as apical, the tip. And then we have lateral. Lateral, it means the side. We call this as lateral. So we have a tip, we have a side, apical, lateral. In apical meristem, they have to grow more in number. They have to carry out a process called mitosis. Mitosis is to increase the number by 1 cell into 2 cell, 2 cell into 4 cell, 4 cell into 8 cell. So when you produce a lot of cell, is to go through mitosis process. Increase number of cell for the plant to grow. Mitosis has two importance. In Form 4 Chapter 6, we learn about the importance. Number 1 is to produce the same exact cell. We call this as genetically identical cell. You don't use same cell, guys. You use the word called genetically identical cell to maintain the number of chromosome in daughter cell. So initially, let's say they have 46 chromosome. In the end, all of the cell will still have 46 chromosome. So it has to be genetically identical. So when we are growing, we are also undergoing mitosis process. Root apical meristem and shoot apical meristem. How do we look at this diagram? Okay, we're gonna find the tip. Okay, because we have 3 zones here. We have zone of cell division, elongation, and differentiation. They are in a sequence. 1, 2, 3. Okay, division, elongation, differentiation. How do I know which direction do I have to look into? We have to find the tip. This is the tip. This is the tip. So the tip is the first zone. So we're gonna look upwards in the root apical meristem. And then for the shoot tip, this is the tip, right? You find the tip, it will be the first zone. You look downwards. The sequence is very important because the moment you write the sequence wrongly, the rest of the answer that you write, it will be wrong. So the sequence are very important. So division is to increase the number of cells. Elongation is to increase the size and mass of the cell. We will go through all of the process later. Differentiation is to form into a specific cell with a specialized function, with a specific function. It's called differentiation process. At root tip, in order for them to have a differentiation process, because they want to form into a thing called root hair. Root hair is not just one root hair. Every root has many of the root hair. When you have a lot of root hair, is to increase surface area. In biology, it's the same. When you have a lot, is to increase surface area to absorb more water and mineral. To absorb more water and mineral. So we have many root hair because they want to increase surface area, absorb more water and mineral. In order for them to have root hair, they have to go for a differentiation process. Okay, next at the bottom part, we have a thing called root cap. This root cap is the orange color part, the brown, the dark brown, the orange color part. This root cap is to protect root tip from mechanical injury. Protect root tip from mechanical injury. What is a mechanical injury? Usually it's a process that cannot be done by human. It has to be natural. For example, maybe in the soil, it's too hard. So when the root grows down, the root cap might, the root tip might damage. So the root cap is to protect the root tip from mechanical injury. Maybe in the soil, there are bacteria, they got infected. Maybe they will get infection. So the root cap is to protect the root tip from mechanical injury. So usually it's not done by human. It has to be natural. This root cap, when they are growing longer and longer and longer, the root cap will degenerate after that. When they go through a secondary growth, for example, this root cap, they will degenerate and replaced by meristematic cell. So when they are only growing longer, the root cap will be gone after that. So this is the function of root cap, okay? Now, the xylem and phloem, we will also learn it later, but in this shoot tip, what you have to know about root hair and also the root cap and the sequence, that's all. The rest of labeling don't have to know. Shoot tip is the same thing, we have to know the sequence. Zone of cell division, elongation, differentiation. Root tip looks pretty much like a root, like a normal root. If you pluck any grass before, you can see the root. It looks the same. But for shoot tip, to me, it looks like a cockroach or maybe a dinosaur monster lah. So this is a shoot tip. They will show you the similar diagram in exam also. So you have to know root tip and shoot tip. They have different sequence. This is what we call as apical meristem. For the root to grow deeper into the soil, for the shoot to grow longer to get more sunlight for photosynthesis. Next, lateral meristem. Lateral is for secondary growth. Okay, what is the secondary growth for? Secondary growth is to increase in diameter. Secondary growth is to increase in diameter. Okay, it's to increase in diameter. When the diameter becomes larger and larger, is to provide support to the plant. Imagine we have a very skinny person and the person who do gym, very big size. Dwayne Johnson. Okay, imagine you compared to Dwayne Johnson. When the person push you, do you think you will fall down? Obviously you will, because you're very skinny, right? So imagine the person who pushed Dwayne Johnson, you go and push Dwayne Johnson one day lah, okay? Do you think he's gonna fall down? No, right? Because it's very big size. When a person is big, they got more support. Base of support is larger. When the plant undergoes secondary growth, the diameter is larger, the base of support is stronger. Can you say increase in girth also can? Or you can say increase in circumference also can, yeah? So diameter is better because girth, usually we will use it in muscle girth. Diameter is better lah, but it's a correct way to understand it. Okay, now lateral meristem, we have two cambium. We have vascular cambium and cord cambium. Vascular, when you see the word vascular, they are related to xylem and phloem, 100%. Vascular means xylem and phloem. Cambium means what? Cambium is the formation. So the formation of xylem and phloem is called vascular cambium. The one that forms xylem phloem is called vascular cambium. Xylem, no matter whether they are primary xylem or secondary xylem, this xylem is to transport what? Transport? Correct. Water and mineral is to transport water and mineral. Transport water and mineral salt. Correct. Phloem is to transport. Very good. Organic substances. Photosynthetic product. Correct. Organic substances. Or you can say photosynthetic product. But we don't write the word food. We don't write the word glucose because organic substances contains of glucose, amino acid, hormone, minerals. So there are many more things in organic substances. So we don't write food. We don't write glucose. Can you write sucrose? Because some student asked me just now. Can you write sucrose for phloem that transport sucrose? We only write transport sucrose when we talk about translocation. But for function, we don't write transport sucrose. Function, we write transport organic substances. If you're a person who are very confused, you don't know who transport what, remember your ABC, okay, A to Z, W, X, Y, Z, right? So remember W, X, so water, xylem transport water. Phloem, remember food, but we cannot write food, we have to write organic substances. But actually, when you remember this xylem water, You will remember the rest of it. If you don't want to say transport water mineral, xylem has another characteristic. Xylem wall is taken by a thing called lignin. Okay, lignin means what? It's a supportive mechanism. Transport. They are taken by lignin so that they have mechanical strength and support. So transport water and mineral. The other one is to have lignified wall to provide mechanical strength and support. So you can write the other one as well. Cork cambium, C-O-R-K, when you see the word C-O-R-K, is a protective tissue. This is a protective tissue. Again, cambium is a formation, so they will form more cork cell, so they will protect the tissue during the secondary growth. We will learn about this lateral meristem. How do they form into secondary xylem and secondary phloem? Transport sucrose, you can write when you learn it in translocation. So we have to assume that in chapter 1, we don't learn any translocation, right? So we cannot write transport water and mineral. Okay, next. Anybody has question to ask in this page? Anybody has question? Okay, no question. I ask you question, guys. Okay, we have two different stem. We have apical meristem. We have lateral meristem. So apical referring to which part of the plant? The tip, correct? We have shoot tip and root tip. Shoot tip and root tip. We have three zones in this part. What is the three zone? First, number one is zone of cell division, correct? Second is zone of cell elongation. Third are called zone of cell differentiation. Very good. We have in sequence. For shoot tip, we have to find the tip. We look downwards. Root tip, we have to look upwards. The root epidermis undergo differentiation process to form into a lot of root hair. When you have more root hair, it means they are able to more root hair. Correct. Increase surface area. Very good. The purpose of increasing surface area is to absorb more water and minerals. So usually in exam, when you say increase surface area, increase, your explanation needs to write more water and more mineral. More is the word. Increase needs to match with more, okay? Okay, next, we have to learn about a lateral meristem. Lateral meristem is to increase in what? Lateral meristem. Correct? Increase in diameter. Why do they have to increase in diameter? We have to use this as a support mechanism. Very good. We have two cambium called vascular cambium and cork cambium. Vascular referring to vascular. Remember, vascular is always what? Vascular is always xylem phloem. Very good. Xylem phloem. The cork cambium, they function as a cork cambium, as a protective tissue. Very good. So this is the first page where you have to learn just the labeling process. Now, after this meristematic tissue, we have to learn about permanent tissue. When the root cap is exhausted, it will be gone forever. Yes, correct. Permanent tissue. Okay, how do we describe as a permanent tissue? Permanent tissue is a mature tissue that undergo differentiation process. They carry out cell differentiation. Any cell that undergo differentiation, they form into a specialized cell with a specific function. Okay, you have to remember anything that undergo differentiation will have a specific function, no matter whether they are plant or even human. As long as differentiation must have a specific function. In permanent tissue, we have three examples actually, but it's not in these notes because this is the short notes. The first one that we have is called epidermal tissue. Epidermal tissue referring to the outermost layer. We call this as epidermal. So epidermal, we have cuticle, we have root hair cell, we have gut cell. So we have three examples of epidermal, the outermost layer. So cuticle is to prevent water loss. Root hair cell is the one that we learned just now. Gut cell is the bottom part of the leaf. So everything is the outermost layer of a cell. Okay, second, it will be vascular tissue. Vascular tissue is referring to xylem and phloem. Vascular, it will be xylem and phloem. Okay, same thing. The last one is ground tissue, correct? Third, it will be ground tissue. Ground tissue, every ground tissue ends with chyma. Chyma, called parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. I'll write down the name first, yeah. Parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. So it will be chyma. Everything here is just chyma. They have a similarity. All of these chyma tissue, it will be one that provides support to the plant. There's one more kaima called Erenchyma, correct? But Erenchyma is not in chapter 1. Erenchyma is in chapter 2 where we learn about plants, okay? So Erenchyma is only for floating plant. Chapter 4, I think, if I'm not mistaken, for Erenchyma. So Parenchyma, Collenchyma, and Sclerenchyma. So chapter 7, we also learn about Erenchyma, correct? Parenchyma has one important characteristic. Usually out of these three chyma, Parenchyma is the most seen chyma that you see in entire chapter 5. Parenchyma has thin cell wall, large vacuole. It looks like a very big round thing here. Okay, this round thing called parenchyma. Later I'll show you the diagram, yeah. So parenchyma, thin cell wall, large vacuole. When the vacuole is big enough, they are able to store more nutrients. It's not just nutrients now. We also have glucose, amino acid, water, mineral, gases that we can store inside thin cell wall, large vacuole. Collenchyma tissue, they have uneven thickened cell wall. I will show you the diagram later also. Sclerenchyma is a dead cell. Parenchyma and collenchyma is a living cell. Sclerenchyma is a dead cell. Besides sclerenchyma, who else is a dead cell? It will be xylem. Xylem is a dead cell like a sclerenchyma. How do we define as a dead cell? How do they have a supportive mechanism? Xylem, they are taken by lignin. Usually when you see lignified wall, they have to be a dead cell. So xylem is a dead cell, sclerenchyma is a dead cell, and they have no cytoplasm and no nucleus, correct? Xylem has no cytoplasm and no nucleus. So phloem is a living cell because they have a nucleus, they have a cytoplasm, they have a living space. Parenchyma and collenchyma, they are also a living cell. This is the tree chyma, the ground tissue as well. So this is the tree permanent tissue. So in this permanent tissue, it can be found in this leaf, stem, and root. Okay, all of the permanent tissue can be found leaf, stem, and root. We have udicot and monocot. What does UD means? UD means die. Die means two. Two condyledon, storage of food, two condyledon. Mono means one storage of food. Okay, so we have two and one. No matter whether it's two or one, they have leaf, stem, and root. Leaf, stem, and root, they have different structure. Okay, we're going to start with udicot first, yeah? We're going to start with the outermost layer. The outermost layer called epidermis. Then people also ask me, teacher, what is the difference between epidermis and epidermal tissue? Epidermal tissue is the type of the tissue. Epidermis is a structural labeling. So when you label this, we label epidermis. But if you ask you to write what is the tissue, then you write epidermal tissue. But I want to say they are the same thing lah. So it's just the outermost layer. Epidermis of your leaf and stem, they are covered by cuticle. What is a cuticle? Cuticle is a waxy layer. Waxy layer, they are waterproof. Waxy layer, waterproof. Is to prevent excess water loss, minimize water loss. Okay, next is so protect the plant from mechanical injury. Again, same thing, mechanical injury is not done by human. It has to be natural. These characteristics can only be used in leaf and stem. Cannot be used in the root. If the root epidermis is covered by cuticle, they are unable to absorb water. So the root epidermis don't have any cuticle. Okay? There's no cuticle at the root. It's only the leaf and also the stem, yeah? When we look at the leaf, it looks like a watch. The watch that you wear. It's like a very nice watch that you wear. In the middle, it looks like a Pokeball or maybe Easter egg, like an egg or maybe a Pokeball, like looks like the same thing. We have to know the location for xylem and phloem. So on top, xylem is on top. Phloem is at the bottom. Xylem, phloem, in the middle, we have a thing called cambium. What is a cambium? It's the line in the middle. The function of cambium is to form xylem and phloem. Cambium is to form xylem and phloem. So we call this as vascular bundle. Again, vascular means what? It's xylem and phloem. So vascular bundle. Xylem on top, phloem at the bottom. Okay, in the stem, this stem one, I think you have seen it for multiple times already. Stem outer layer is called epidermis. The white color one is called pith. The green color one is called cortex. Same thing, xylem is inside, phloem is outside. They are also called vascular bundle. This stem, they will also ask in chapter 3, chapter 4, where we learn about translocation. They will remove the outer layer. We call this as ringing experiment. So originally, it looks like that. This is the stem. So they cut it over here. This is the part where they remove it. They remove the outer layer of it. And then they ask you, after 1 month, what happens to the plant? The plant on top, it will be swollen. Be ugly, okay, but it will be swollen. The bottom part is shrinks. They ask you why this happens. What tissue is being removed? the epidermis, the cortex, the phloem, and the cambium, it will be removed. When you remove the phloem, organic substances cannot move down. When the organic substances got stuck in this part will be swollen. Is this a real life thing that people actually do it to their plant? The answer is yes. Some of the farmer, they will do ringing experiment on their fruit trees. So when you cut on this area, this part, it will be swollen, right? So the fruit will be bigger in size. Some of the farmer, they do this because they want to increase the size of the fruit. They want their fruit to be gigantic, very big in size. This is what they do to their plants. People only do it to annual plant or biennial plant. The plant, they don't do it, they don't live for 2 years. And sweeter also, correct? Because they have more sucrose storage, right? So that's why the people do it. So your phloem is on the outside, your xylem is inside, and they form into a ring pattern. They form into a ring around the pith, okay? A ring around the pith. Next, we have root. Root, we have pericycle, xylem, phloem. Xylem is the star shape right now. We don't call a cross. We call this as a star shape. I know it looks like a cross, but it's not a cross, guys. It's called a star-shaped xylem, okay? Star-shaped xylem. The dot is the phloem. What is a pericycle? Pericycle is used to form the lateral root. The root at the side is called lateral root. That's why they have to use this pericycle. The name that we use is called vascular cylinder. In chapter 1, actually you don't learn vascular cylinder yet. You only learn vascular cylinder in chapter 3 when we learn about root. But why not you just start with chapter 1, then you will understand. Root, we use vascular cylinder. In the leaf and stem, we use vascular bundle, okay? We use vascular bundle. So we have to know the location. Will this be uploaded to YouTube? Yes, it will, yeah. Okay, over here, these three parts, we have to know the location for xylem and phloem. Very easy for you to remember. We will start from the leaf, then stem, then root, yeah? The leaf xylem is on top, okay? Xylem is on top. Stem, xylem is inside. The xylem is inside. And then at the root, the xylem is a star shape. So it will be top, inside star, okay? Top, inside star. The opposite direction, it will be phloem. Top, inside, and star. Okay, so this is the location for xylem and phloem. Now, done with your udicot, monocot and udicot actually is the same concept. We have to know the location for xylem and phloem. The leaf, xylem is at where? Top or bottom? Top, right? So xylem will be on top. It's the same thing. Xylem at the upper part, phloem at the lower part. But the special thing about monocot is they have both guard cell on the top and the bottom of the leaves. So this is the monocot, okay? Stem. Xylem is inside or outside in the stem. Okay, stem is inside, correct? Stem is inside. The red color one, the stem, the xylem is inside, same. The blue color is the phloem. The difference between these two stems are, these will form into a ring pattern. This is scatter throughout. Scatter means all over. They are all over, but the xylem is still inside, the phloem is still outside. Even though they are all over, they are very messy, but the xylem is still inside, the phloem is still outside. And then for root, xylem alternate with phloem. So the red one is xylem, phloem, xylem, phloem, xylem, phloem. So when they alternate, they form into a ring pattern. They form into a ring over here. In your textbook, there is no monocot actually, but in some of the question that you are doing, you will still see monocot question. So why not you just learn more? Learning more better than learning lesser. If this one really come out in an exam, at least you know what is a monocot characteristic. You have to know the location for xylem and phloem. You have to know some of the labeling and the drawing for udicot, okay? The drawing for udicot is one of the questions you might see in your exam. Usually, they ask you to draw these two most of the time. Either they ask you to draw a leaf or either they ask you to draw a stem. Maybe it's about three marks, somewhere around 3 marks. Udicot leaf got no stomata. They got stomata, but this is a simple label diagram. This is a simple label diagram. The one that you usually see it, the one with layer one, I don't know if you guys know, we have upper epidermis, we have the cuticle, and then we have the palisade mesophyll cell, spongy mesophyll cell, the vascular bundle, and the lower epidermis one. The bottom part will have a stomata, which is similar to this lah. But this is a simple label diagram. This is simple label diagram. Means you cut the leaf. You just look into it with using a microscope, then you will see this. This is a udicot. Okay, anybody has question in this page? Anybody has question in this page? For mono, stomata more on top or bottom. It depending on whether they are aquatic plant or normal plant. If it's a normal plant, more at the bottom. If it's aquatic plant, more on top. So you see whether they are aquatic plant or whether they are normal plant. Okay, no question. I'm going to ask you a question right now. Okay, can you guys tell me? We have the leaf, stem, and root. Okay, now in the leaf, the xylem is inside or outside? The xylem is inside, correct? The phloem is outside. For stem, in the leaf is top or bottom? The xylem. Top part, the top part is the xylem, the bottom part is the phloem. In the root, what is the pattern of the xylem? Correct, it's called a star-shaped xylem. Phloem fills in the area between xylem. Same as your monocot. Xylem, no, sorry, not xylem. The unicord of leaf, epidermis, has a characteristic. What is the characteristic of the epidermis? Correct, they have waxy layer. Very good. Waterproof waxy layer to prevent excess water loss. This characteristic can only apply to leaf and which part? Leaf and the stem, correct. Root cannot have cuticle. Why? Because the root, correct, the root needed the non-waxy layer to absorb water. So when there's a waxy layer, they cannot absorb water. So this is the characteristic, permanent tissue. Okay, now done with permanent tissue, we're going to look at the next part, which is the zone. We have 3 zones that we learned just now. Can we go through one more time the zone in sequence? The first zone is called zone of cell division. Very good. The second zone is called zone of cell elongation. The third zone is called zone of cell. Very good. Differentiation. They are in a sequence. Okay, remember, in a sequence means when there is no division, the rest of the process, it will never occur. They are in a sequence. So this one, we're going to start from top to the bottom in a sequence. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, in a sequence. Starting with zone of cell division. Cell division means what? 1 to 2, 2 to 4. In order for them to have this process, they have to carry out mitosis. Not meiosis, guys. It's only mitosis because they have to produce more number of cells. Increase the number of cells. They want to have more. Increase the number of cells. Who is the one that carry out mitosis? It's the meristematic cell, a young plant cell. They have to carry out mitosis. Like you as a kid, you have to grow taller. It's the kid that in you that grows taller, right? Means that in your body cell, you have to have more mitosis. Right now, when you reach about, let's say, for example, 50 years old, your cell is no longer called meristematic cell, guys. So if you are at the 50 years old, all of the cell that you have in your body is just mature cell. When you are young, it's a young plant cell. I mean, for plant. For a mature plant cell, they don't call meristematic cell. It's called mature tissue. To carry out this process, they have to arrange closely. Arrange very closely. The characteristic of it, it will be large nuclei, small vacuole, dense cytoplasm, thin cell wall. Very big nucleus. Okay, why is it very big nucleus? Maybe the cell is very small. That's why it looks like the nucleus is very big. The vacuole is so small that it's the dot over right now. It's the dot right now that you can see is called a small vacuole. Dense cytoplasm means the cytoplasm is not, it's just very dense, okay? And then we have thin cell wall. This thin cell wall, later on, they will carry out a process for them to have a hardened cell wall. Is to increase the number of cells. So after, when they have many more cells, 1 to 2, 2 to 4, when they have a lot of cells, they will invade the other zone. For example, just now we have the zone over here, right? We have zone of cell division. So when they have more of this cell, they will move all the way up. So they will invade their zone. Same goes to this. When they have more cell, they will invade the zone of elongation. That's why it says over here, the cell formed previously are pushed to the zone of cell elongation. So because they have more cell, they have to grow into elongation zone. In zone of cell elongation is to increase the size and mass of the cell. Size and mass for them to become bigger. First, we have nutrients. Nutrients are absorbed into the cell and stored in a vacuole. Like human, if you want to become bigger in size, you're going to eat more food. So nutrients, number 1. Number 2, water diffuses into the vacuole by osmosis. All process related to water, we have to use the word osmosis. Osmosis. Third, vacuolation. What is vacuolation? Small vacuole fills to form into larger vacuole. Okay, small vacuole fills to form into larger vacuole. We call this as vacuolation. And they will exert pressure against the cell wall when it becomes bigger in size. So to write in this, because this is one of the part they always ask in exam, only have to remember 4 keywords. Nutrients, osmosis, vacuolation, and pressure. 4 keywords: nutrients, osmosis, vacuolation, pressure. If you look at the diagram, you will notice that initially they are very small vacuole. Slowly, when the water diffuses into it, the vacuole from small vacuole, they form into the large central vacuole. That's why when we say plant cell, they have a very big vacuole because they have undergo vacuolation process. You cannot just write vacuolation because it's a process. You're going to write the entire sentence. Small vacuole fused to form into larger vacuole by vacuolation. It has to be a sentence, not just keyword. The 4 word that I highlighted over here is for you to remember what you have to write in exam. Nutrients, osmosis, vacuolation, pressure. 4 keyword, then you form your sentence to increase the size and mass of the cell. Then we have differentiation. Differentiation is for them to have a specific function. Every cell that undergo differentiation, they forms into a permanent tissue with a specific function. How do they form into a cell with a specific function? They have to change in the shape and structure to form into a specialized cell with a specific function. Specialized cell with a specific function, okay? Specialized cell with a specific function. So what are the example of cell in differentiation? You can write epidermis, cortex, xylem, phloem, gut cell, root hair cell, palisade mesophyll cell, spongy mesophyll cell. If you have to write example, I will suggest you to write xylem phloem. Why? Because you know the function of xylem and phloem. But maybe in exam, you don't remember the function of cortex. And you write cortex, you have no explanation to write. So you write something that you know and you're confident with. You don't write something that you not too sure. So write something that is easy, which is xylem and phloem. Then you can explain your answer. In exam, it's not to show how good are you in memorizing very difficult words in biology. It's for you to get correct mark with the correct spelling. So you don't have to make your life difficult using the one that is the difficult one for you to remember. Just write the simple one. So this is a zone of cell division, elongation, differentiation. This question, they will ask structure. They can also ask essay question. Means they ask you the entire thing for essay question. Structure question, they will ask you accordingly based on this. Based on different zones. So anyhow, you still have to know everything here. It's the matter of whether they ask you to write everything or just ask you to base on this maybe elongation or differentiation process. Okay, now done. Anybody has question to ask over here? No? I ask you question now, okay? The 3 zone, first zone start with zone of cell division. Cell division have to carry out a process called what? Zone of cell division have to carry out a process called mitosis process. Very good. Mitosis process. Mitosis, it will happen in apical meristem. This apical meristem, they have to arrange closely and there are 4 characteristics. What are the characteristics? Large nucleus, very good. Dense cytoplasm, correct. Small vacuole, very good. Thin cell wall, very good. Okay, there are 4 characteristics. Then they will enter into the zone of cell elongation. In elongation, we also have 4 keywords. They want to increase the size and mass of the cell. First keyword, nutrients, very good. Nutrients are absorbed into the cell and stored in the vacuole. Second keyword, osmosis, correct. Water are absorbed through osmosis process. Water diffuses in by osmosis process. Third keyword, vacuolation. Okay, vacuolation means what? It means small vacuole fused to form into larger vacuole. Fourth keyword, pressure. Okay, they will exert pressure onto the cell wall to elongate and widen the cell. So 4 keyword in zone of cell elongation. Differentiation, they will change in what? Change in shape and structure of the cell to form into what type of tissue? To form into a specialized cell or permanent tissue with every cell that undergo differentiation, correct? They will have a specific function. Very good. Okay. By knowing everything, I think you can score full marks in this essay already, guys. But we're going to try some questions to see whether you really remember what you learned or not. We're going to be trying some of the question over here. I want you to flip to your question. The first page. Okay, the first page of the question is the question that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a few questions before we proceed to the secondary growth, yeah? Okay, the first question, this is, I think, page 8, if I'm not mistaken. You can look at page 8, correct, okay? Diagram 1 shows a cross-section of a Unicode root. They say this is a root. Name structure label PQR. PQR. Okay, starting with P, they ask you to name the structure Don't need to name the tissue, just name the structure. The outermost layer is called epidermis. Very good. Epidermis. And then we have Q. If you don't know what is Q, you can leave it first, but Q is a cortex. Very good. Q is a cortex. For them to store more organic substances, to store food, it's a storage of food. Cortex and pith, they are both storage of food. Okay, and then we have X and Y. We will label what is X and Y first, and then we label what is I. Yeah? X is a star shape. This star shape is called xylem, correct? And then the Y will be phloem. So xylem, phloem together is called vascular. But vascular what? Wow, so many of you answer wrongly one. How come? This is a root, my dear. If it's a root, then it will be vascular. How come? If it's a root, it has to be vascular cylinder. Very good. Cylinder, not bundle. Vascular cylinder. Okay, in exam, if you don't remember, is it a cylinder or is it a bundle? Then what can you write? Write vascular tissue. Don't remember everything, just write vascular tissue. Unless the teacher is so specific, they ask you to write the specific name. Root is vascular cylinder. Leaf and stem is called vascular bundle. Don't remember, just write vascular tissue. Structure R consists of two types of tissue, namely X and Y. So we have to answer for X and Y already because they asked you to name the tissue. Then they asked you to write the function of the tissue. Xylem transport what? Xylem X. Transport water and mineral. From where to where? Correct. From the roots to all parts of the plant. Very good. So you're going to say X. Transport water and mineral ions from roots to all parts of plant. From roots to all parts of plant. For Y, phloem, transport what? Correct, transport organic substances. Can you just write minerals? Yes, you can. Organic substances, or you can say photosynthetic product. When to use mineral ions, when to use mineral salt for process, it doesn't really matter. In other chapter also doesn't really matter. You want to write mineral ion also can, mineral salt also can. But if you want to write mineral ion, if you think about only, if I think about only one specific chapter that you can write mineral ions, it will be Form 4 chapter 3. But the rest of the chapter, it doesn't really matter. Form 4 chapter 3, we learn about mineral ions, right, which is a charged ion. There will be active transport. Maybe only at the particular chapter, the root, you have to write mineral ions. But the rest, it doesn't really matter one, yeah? Okay, you're going to say transport organic substances from leaves to all parts of plant. From leaves to all parts of plant, okay? From leaves to all parts of plant. State one difference between tissue X and tissue Y. Because in the previous question, we already talked about the function. When they say difference, you can be any differences. You can be functional differences. You can be any differences. Correct? This is a living cell and a dead cell. The easiest one is a living cell and dead cell. Which one is a dead cell? X or Y? X is a dead cell, correct? X is a dead cell, whereas Y is a living cell. Okay, remember one important thing. When you write sentences for differences, you have to write in one sentence for one difference. Means X, you're going to say X is what, whereas Y is what. Whereas Y is what. So it's one sentence. A is what, whereas B is what. You can use whereas, you can also use the word while. If you want to draw in table, okay, because people ask me, when can I draw table? You can draw table in essay question, but for structure question, I will still suggest you to write in sentence, but it has to be in one sentence. Now, in table form, when you write, please don't use your own answer as a title. So you don't write this is a xylem, this is a phloem. Because if you write xylem and phloem, so let's say you label it wrongly already. Everything else, it will be wrong. In your answer, if your answer everything correct, but because of your labeling on your title is wrong, everything is wrong. So if you want to draw in table, what can you write for the title? You copy the question. The question give you XY, right? You write XY as a title. The title, use the question. Don't use your own answer. Unless you're very confident lah. But I will suggest you not to be so confident in exam. Just write X and Y. Copy the question. Living tissue is acceptable, right? Yes, you can write living tissue, yeah? So remember, if you want to draw a table, use the question as a title, not your own answer. The outermost layer of the stem leaf are covered by a waxy layer and waterproof coating. Name the substance. The substance are called cuticle. Very good. Cuticle. Give a reason why the plant needs these substances. To prevent excess water loss of the plant. Correct. To prevent excess water loss. To prevent excess water loss. Can you write waterproof layer? Cannot, because it's already in the question. They ask you to name it. So that's why you're going to say cuticle. Explain one difference between epidermis of the root and stem. Epidermis of stem and root. Okay, what is the difference? The one difference that you can see from a diagram. Okay, there are two differences. Epidermis of the stem has epidermis of the stem has a cuticle, correct? Root don't have cuticle. The other one that you can write is the root will develop into a root hair cell, where the stem has no root hair cell. So we have two answers. Either you want to write have cuticle, or either you want to have root hair cell. It's your choice to write. So let's say I write the root hair cell, because the cuticle you already know the answer, right? I just write the root hair cell, yeah. So the stem of the epidermis of stem, epidermis of stem does not form root hair cell, whereas epidermis of root differentiate into root hair cell. This increases surface area to absorb more water and minerals. To absorb more water and mineral. Can you write cuticle? Of course you can. So we have two answers. The other one is the cuticle one. The other one is the root hair cell. So if you want to write cuticle, you can say epidermis of stem does not have cuticle, whereas the epidermis of root has a cuticle. This allows the root hair cell to absorb water. Why need to write the function? Because it asks you to explain. Usually explain requires to explain the function. Unless it's a statement. If it's a statement, then you don't have to explain your answer. So you have to see the word that you use is explain or state. My teacher say explanation also write in differences form. How? You mean the explanation need to write differences? If you want to write in differences form, then you're going to say, this because stem does not need to absorb water, whereas the root hair cell can increase surface area to absorb more water and mineral. Can I write prevent excess water loss for cuticle? For epidermis, you mean? Epidermis, you can write prevent excess. Epidermis of stem, you can, but the root cannot. Because you already write the epidermis of stem just now to prevent excess water loss. So usually we don't write the same answer in the following question. We will just write another answer, which is for the root but not for the stem. Okay, next question. In SPM, can our answer for structure and essay be in point form? Will the mark be deducted too? This is a correct way for you to explain in your answer, your exam. This one can be right in your school exam. It can also be written for your SPM as well, as long as it has to be in a short sentence. Point form is fine, not keyword. It's called a point form. It's called a short sentence. So you can write this in exam, but it has to be a short sentence, not just keywords. Yeah. Draw a simple label diagram. Okay, what is the mistake people always whenever they draw? It's called a simple label diagram, guys. Label. Label, guys. Label is the word, label. Many people, when they draw, they don't label. I don't know why. You just label whatever diagram that you draw. Label it. How do you draw a leaf? You draw a leaf, right? Leaf looks like a watch, like a toy watch. Okay, like that. Okay, and then one more layer because we have epidermis, right? One more layer. One more layer. Then we're gonna draw like a Pokeball inside. One big one in the middle. We can also draw the small one at the side. The most important thing is to label. Okay, at the side, can you draw more than two? Of course you can, it's your choice. So we're gonna label the outermost layer. The outermost layer called epidermis. Right. The one on top is what? The one on top called xylem, correct? The one on top called xylem. The one at the bottom called phloem. We only have to write xylem and phloem actually. You don't have to write anything else but just xylem and phloem. Done drawing this, you find the raise hand button and then you raise your hand. I will wait for 10 of you and then we will continue with the next question. If you want to label cambium also can. Okay, cambium. Also can. Okay, nice. Next question. You can put your hand down already. In an experiment, cross-section are obtained from the root, stem, and leaf of a dicotyledonous plant, which has been immersed in the red Austen solution for 2 hours. Indicates the tissue stain red by Austen solution in 5.2. It says the red Austen solution. What color, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is the word solution. If it's a solution, means they are transported by xylem or phloem. Solution, the word used as solution. Correct, it will be transported by xylem. So what color, it doesn't matter. It's solution, is a liquid form. We have to indicate the tissue that's stained red by solution. So the leaf, which part is the xylem? Top or bottom in the leaf? Correct. Top part, very good. Top part is the xylem. What about the stem? Stem is inside, very good. When you label, don't have to use red color, guys. Just use your pencil. Because exam, you're not going to use red color, right? You use pencil, just use pencil. And then in the root, the xylem will be star shape. Very good. Star shape xylem. Easy peasy. Okay, so this done. State the differences between the arrangement of vascular bundle in the stem and vascular tissue in the root of dicotyledonous plant and monocotyledonous plant. So what they are trying to ask you, they are asking you to write the arrangement of vascular bundle in the stem and vascular tissue in the root. They ask you to compare the vascular tissue in both stem and root. Okay, we will look about the eudicote first, which is dicot. Dicot and eudicote is the same thing, yeah? This is the stem. In the stem, the vascular bundle, it will form a ring around the pith. They form a ring, okay, around the pith. So xylem is inside, phloem is outside. In the root, the xylem is a star shape. Phloem fills in the area between xylem. Phloem fills in the area between xylem. So this is the dicotyledonous stem and root. We will write the dicot first, and then later we will write the monocot, yeah? So for dicot, we're going to say vascular bundle arranged in ring around the pith. Next, xylem has a star-shaped form, whereas phloem fills the area between xylem. Fills the area between xylem. Monocot in the stem, they don't have a ring. It will be all over. So all over is called scattered. Scattered throughout. Teacher, can dicot root say star-shaped xylem surrounded by phloem? Can also lah. I mean, the sentence sounds like the same meaning of it. Okay, now monocot, we're gonna say about the scattered throughout. And then for the other one, for root, we can talk about they will form into a ring pattern because xylem tissue and phloem tissue, they will alternate to form into a ring pattern. So monocot, we're gonna say vascular bundle scattered throughout the stem. And then for monocot, xylem tissue alternate with phloem tissue in the form of a ring. In the form of a ring. Then raise your hand. We will try the next question. Wait for 10 of you. Okay, nice. Next question. Diagram below shows the location of tissue in a plant. Label type of tissue A, B, C, D, and E in the box provided. Okay, we're gonna start with A first. Okay, before we write the tissue name, maybe we just label in the diagram. Because A, right, they pointed at the tip at both area. So maybe we just label the tip at this area first. The tip, we use what? But we don't say the tip of a shoot, right? We call this as apical, correct? Apical, young plant cell, we call this as meristem. It's called apical meristem. Okay, we will label here. We call this as shoot apical meristem. Next, at the root, we call this as root apical meristem. Root apical meristem, root apical meristem. So we have shoot apical meristem and root apical meristem. So A, it will be meristematic tissue because the question want you to write what? Type of tissue. So you have to end the word with the tissue. So we call this as meristematic tissue, meristematic tissue. Okay, and then we're going to look at the next part. The next part that we will label is the outermost layer here, which is at C. We will label C first. C is the outermost layer. What do you call the outermost layer? As a tissue, guys. I don't want the labeling, but I want it to end with the tissue, correct? It's called epidermal tissue. Very good. Epidermal tissue. So now that you know when to use epidermis, when to use epidermal. When the question wants you to write tissue, you write epidermal tissue. When it asks you to name the structure, you can write epidermis. Okay, next we will label D, because D is pointing at the xylem and phloem. So if it's xylem and phloem, D will be vascular tissue, correct? Every xylem and phloem is vascular tissue. So we left B and E. So what is B? B is over here, this entire thing. The entire plant, okay, they are trying to use the entire thing here is under permanent tissue. Because if you remember, we learned the labeling in permanent tissue, right? If you flip back to the notes, they're under permanent tissue, right? So this, everything here is under permanent tissue. Permanent tissue. Okay, the last one is E. E is the cortex location, the cortex and the pith and cortex location, right? So E is what type of tissue? When they label cortex and when they label it as a pith, it will be ground tissue, correct? Cortex pith type of tissue is called ground tissue. Not the name of tissue, it's the type of tissue. Type of tissue is called ground tissue. So next time when they label the epidermis, when they label the cortex and also the pith, is called ground tissue. Next question, diagram below shows the position of permanent tissue in the cross-section of a plant stem. What is meant by permanent tissue? Okay, can you guys tell me again, how do we define as a permanent tissue? Is a mature tissue that... What is the type of ground tissue in cortex? We have parenchyma and also collenchyma. Correct, undergo differentiation, correct. Undergo differentiation to form into a what cell? Specialized cell with a specific function. Very good. With a specific function. So we put it into sentence. So we're going to say permanent tissue are mature tissue that undergo differentiation to form into specialized cell with specific function. With specific function. Is it wrong if I stop at differentiation? Not complete. It has to be longer. It has to be longer. Sclerenchyma tissue is only dead cell. So the dead cell can only be xylem actually. Because cortex is not a dead cell. Sclerenchyma is only for dead cell, right? So it's only for xylem. Okay, name the tissue label P and Q. P is the outer layer. They ask you to name the tissue, guys. Again, same thing. Name the tissue. P is epidermal tissue. Very good. P is known as epidermal tissue. Q, they label at the cortex ground tissue, correct? It's called ground tissue. Then they ask you to state two characteristics of tissue P. Question says what? State characteristic. Means you don't have to use explanation to explain it. When to use epidermis again when they say label the structure. Structure labeling is epidermis. Tissue is epidermal tissue, yeah? Waxy layer, very good. They have a waxy layer and waterproof, correct. Two characteristic. It has waxy layer. And it is waterproof. I can say it has waterproof layer. Okay, can you just say it has a cuticle? Because if you say they are cuticle, you only have one characteristic, my dear. So you're going to make sure that you write two characteristics because cuticle is only one. So you're going to write these two characteristics. These two are part of cuticle. These two are part of cuticle. Okay, what is the mistake people usually do also? A statement, no need to explain, yeah? Statement is just state. Don't have to say protect from pathogen. It's just state, only explanation. Next question is your explanation already, okay? Now, what is the mistake people made in exam? They will write, it has a waxy layer. Okay, maybe not a mistake, but I will tell you how people get it wrongly. It has a waxy layer and it has waterproof layer. Can I? Sounds very correct, which is correct because your answer is correct over here. Now, what is the thing that your teacher don't like? Your teacher don't like the word and in every sentence. So let's say you get the front part wrongly. The back is correct and you still get 0 mark. Why? Because it's wrong cancel right in one particular sentence. If you write it in two sentences, if you put it back into two sentences, okay, two sentences, like that, two sentences. If the first part is correct, the second part is wrong, whichever one, then maybe some of your teacher will still give you 1 mark. This one is just no marks. This is 1 mark and this is no mark. Because if you put it in one sentences, the chances of you getting wrong is actually very high. Unless you confirm my confident answer, okay, my answer confirm correct one, and then you can write N. But if you're not confident, you put it into two sentences. The question is 2 marks, you can write different, you can even write more than 2 sentences. It doesn't really matter one, guys. I thought cuticle only leaf had, stem also get cuticle. Stem also got cuticle because they want to prevent excess water loss on the stem. Only root don't have cuticle. So the cuticle is for leaf and stem. Is there any other answer for this question? No, it's only these two. It's just waxy layer and waterproof, yeah? So remember, don't write N next time. Don't choose to write N. Don't N all the way. Just put it into different sentence. Based on your answer in 2C, explain how is it adapted for tissue P to carry out its function. When you see the word adapted means adaptation. Adaptation means characteristic in biology. So characteristic, okay? Characteristic, yeah? Explain means you have to write characteristic plus function. Characteristic plus function. So we have to talk about the waxy layer and also about the waterproof layer. The waxy layer, how to write waxy layer? You can say to prevent pathogen infection. Waterproof layer to prevent excess water loss. Because if you write both answers are the same, means you only write to prevent excess water loss. So one, you can write for to protect the plants from pathogen infection. which is the mechanical injuries. The other one, you can prevent excess water loss. If the question asks characteristic of epidermal tissue of root, how to answer? Increase surface area to absorb more water and mineral, which is the root. No cuticle, but they will develop into root hair cell. More root hair cell to increase surface area. That's for root. Okay, your question, you're gonna say, the root, tissue P. Tissue P has waxy layer to prevent plant from mechanical injury. Next, you can also mention tissue P has waterproof layer to prevent excessive loss of water. What is the difference between epidermal and epidermis? It's the same thing. It's just when you label it differently only. They are the same exact thing. Epidermis and epidermal is the same thing, referring to the outermost layer. Okay, what is the function of the root cap? Root cap is to protect root tip from mechanical injury. Very good. To protect root tip from mechanical injury. Protect root tip. Not just the root, but the root tip from mechanical injury. State an example of cell modified found in P. So any cell that undergo modification, they can be found in P. P is your epidermis, okay, epidermal tissue. Epidermal tissue has only 3 examples. Either they are cuticle, either they have root hair cell or gut cell. But if you look at this diagram again, this is a what? This is a stem, guys. This is a stem. Do you think stem has a root hair cell? Stem cannot form into root hair cell, right? So your answer cannot be root hair cell. Your answer can only be cuticle or gut cell. But since the question already gives you cuticle, then maybe we write other answer. We write gut cell. Gut cell. Okay, so gut cell is your answer. So we only have three examples of it. So this is gut cell. Name the structure in Q that consists of living cell. In Q, which is the ground tissue, we have 3 ground tissue, which is parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Which one is a living cell? Can say protect apical meristem tissue from mechanical injury? No, only root tip. Parenchyma and collenchyma, very good. Parenchyma and collenchyma, because sclerenchyma is not a living cell. So we have parenchyma tissue and collenchyma tissue. Sclerenchyma tissue, it's your dead cell. Done? Done, raise your hand. Wait for 10 of you. We will try the next question. 2, 5, 6, 9. Okay, nice. Next question. Question 2. Diagram below shows 2 examples of tissue implant, tissue P and tissue Q. So tissue P, they bracket this entire thing. What is this entire thing here? This entire thing is called? Correct. It's called vascular tissue. Because it's a tissue, so we're going to say P is a vascular tissue. Vascular tissue. And then for Q is a zoom in version. Actually, they zoom in this area for you to see what is Q. It's a ground tissue, very good. Okay, if you want to write a specific answer, because they asked you to write 2 examples, right? They didn't ask you to write the type of tissue. So this tissue Q, if you want to write the name of this ground tissue, they are either parenchyma, collenchyma, or sclerenchyma. How do you see the differences between them? Okay, if they are round, big, fat, very cute one, okay? Round, big, fat, very cute one, it has to be a parenchyma tissue, because parenchyma tissue has thin cell wall, large vacuole. Collenchyma tissue don't look like that. Okay, let me show you collenchyma. Okay, this is how it looks like. We have collenchyma, we have also sclerenchyma. The difference between collenchyma and sclerenchyma is collenchyma, they have uneven taken cell wall. This is collenchyma. So they are not round, big, fat. Okay, this is round, big, fat, round. This is a parenchyma. For sclerenchyma tissue, it looks like a beehive. So these two differences is to look at the uneven taken cell wall at the side. So you can see that there's a difference between them. So this is what we call as parenchyma tissue. From the diagram, you can see it's a parenchyma tissue. Q is a parenchyma tissue. Can we say vascular bundle for P? You can if you want to. Can you write ground tissue to be safe? Okay, for this question, actually, why would I not suggest you to write ground tissue? Because they give you a very specific diagram, which is this. Unless they only point. If they only point, then you can write ground tissue. But when they give you a diagram that is so clearly that it's a parenchyma tissue, then your answer has to be specific, which is parenchyma tissue. Okay, state two differences between tissue P and tissue Q. Okay, what is the difference between P and Q? Okay, read first. P and Q. Okay, exam, please don't write in table unless it's a essay question. Structural question, we're going to make sure that they're in sentence. Vascular tissue consists of what? Consists of? Alright, consists of xylem and phloem. Q. This one consists of thin cell wall and large vacuole. Okay, second differences. What can you say? You can talk about the function if you want to. Thin cell wall with large vacuole, correct? Okay, you can talk about the function. Xylem and phloem involved in transportation of substances. And then for Q, involved in photosynthesis and gases exchange. So you can talk about the characteristic and the function. Okay, what is the process that forms tissue P? Tissue P is a vascular tissue, okay, which is a permanent tissue. So they ask you, how do they form into a vascular tissue? Correct, is differentiation. Any cell that with a specific function, it will be differentiation process. So we call this as differentiation. You can write cell differentiation, you can write differentiation process. Relate the characteristic of Q with its function. The characteristic of Q with the function. It means you have to write this with the function. Consists of thin cell wall large vacuole. Okay, what is the purpose of thin cell wall large vacuole? To store what? Store, correct, photosynthetic product. Okay, any photosynthetic product, whichever that you want to write, you can say store photosynthetic product. So we're gonna say storage. Okay, say thin cell wall first. Okay, it has thin cell wall and large vacuole that store products of photosynthesis. Products of photosynthesis. Explain the characteristic of xylem tissue. For products of photosynthesis is food, is amino acid, glucose. Okay, if you want to say that they are dead cell, can you say that for D, can you say they are made of cortex, but you have no function for D? So if you want to talk about the characteristic and the function, cortex is not a characteristic. Cortex is the name. So you have to write the characteristic. If you want to write they are dead cell for xylem, actually I would not suggest you to say that xylem is a dead cell because there's no cytoplasm. It's not even explaining any good thing about this xylem tissue. But you can write other characteristics of xylem, which they are taken by lignin. Very good. Taken by lignin is to have support to prevent the plant from collapsing. Besides taken by lignin, what can you write? You can say that they have elongated and hollow tube. Elongated and hollow tube is for the plant to transport more water and mineral. So we're gonna say xylem is taken by lignin These provide mechanical strength and support to plant. If you don't want to write this, then I would suggest you to write another one, which you can say xylem has elongated and hollow tube. Then we can say long projection is only for root hair cell, it's not for xylem. This allow continuous flow of water and mineral. This allow continuous flow of water and mineral. Okay, so if you have done, you raise your hand. I'll wait for 10 of you. We're gonna try the next question when you are done already. I noticed that this class people write very fast. Compared to the Mandarin class, this class write very fast. Okay, now done. We're gonna try the next question for those who have done. I want you to look at this part. We're gonna label what is PQR. Okay, they show you this is a shoot tip. Okay, if this is a shoot tip, can you guys tell me to look downwards or upwards? Which direction? Downwards or upwards? Can go up a bit. Okay. Of course, if to look at downward, because this is a shoot, we will look downwards, okay? Downwards. PQR, okay? PQR. PQR. After class, you can ask me, okay, if you have any question, PQR. So, P is the first zone. What is the first zone? Correct. Zone of cell division. Okay, let me label straight away over here. Zone of cell division. Okay, what about the second zone? Zone of cell elongation. Correct. The third zone is called zone of cell differentiation. Correct. Division, elongation, differentiation in a sequence PQR. Based on diagram above, identify the zone of cell division. Zone of, okay, we have the answer already for one. Okay, next question. State the differences between zone of elongation and zone of cell differentiation. They ask you to write the differences between elongation and differentiation. Okay, what can you write? You can talk about the function differences. Zone of cell elongation. When we talk about elongation, can you guys tell me what is the function of it? Is to increase what? Elongation. Correct. The size and mass of the cell. What about differentiation? To undergo differentiation process to form into a specialized cell with a specific function. Very good. Okay, so you're gonna say cell. And just write in table lah, faster. Elongation and differentiation. So for elongation is to increase the size and mass of cell. Differentiation, undergo differentiation process to form into specialized cell with a specific function. With a specific function. Okay, done. Raise your hand. We will be trying the next question. Wait for 10 of you. 6, 7, 8, 10. Okay, nice. If you haven't finished, you can screenshot the answer, yeah? Okay, done. Next, we're going to skip question 4. We're going to look at question 5. We'll be doing different type of cell. Just now, that one was a shoot. Okay, this one here. Page 16. Diagram below shows 3 zones of cell growth. We have zone PQR at the root tip. Based on the diagram, label PQR. This is a root tip, guys. To look at the root tip, we have to look from upwards or downwards are easier. You look up or look down? Correct, you look upwards, very good. So in this direction, we look upwards. So R is your first zone. First zone is called zone of cell division, very good, zone of cell division. Q is your second zone. Second zone is called zone of cell elongation. The third zone is called zone of cell differentiation, correct? So we have 3 zones in total. Division, elongation, differentiation, DED. Explain briefly the zone at Q. Elongation, we have 4 keywords. What are the 4 keywords? Elongation. Nutrients, very good. Nutrients are absorbed and stored in a vacuole. Second, we have osmosis. What is osmosis? Means water diffuses into the cell by osmosis. Third word, vacuolation. Correct. Small vacuole fuse to form into larger vacuole by vacuolation. The last one is pressure. Correct. They will exert pressure to the cell wall to elongate the cell. The question is 3 marks. You can write any 3 of it. Your choice to choose. But I will write 4 just in case maybe you need 4 marks in exam. I'll write 4. So nutrients are absorbed into cell and stored in vacuole. Next, water diffuses into vacuole by osmosis. Small vacuole fuse to form into larger vacuole by vacuolation. Next, the last one, diffuse water exert pressure against cell wall which push, elongate, and widen the cell. So 4 keyword: nutrients, osmosis, vacuolation, pressure. Done? Wait for 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10. Okay, next one. Briefly explain the process at zone R. The answer to explain the process at R, division. Division also got 4 characteristics of the cell, right? First, we can talk about the cell has the 4 characteristics. Division, the 4 characteristics of cell, correct? Thin cell wall, large nucleus, dense cytoplasm, and small vacuole. So they will carry out mitosis process when they are going through this zone of cell division. So they will carry out mitosis. Who carry out mitosis is the meristematic cell. So meristematic cell arrange closely. They carry out mitosis. They increases the number of cell. As they increases the number of cell, they will elongate into the zone of cell elongation. The question is 3 marks, means we're going to write at least 3 sentences. The first sentence we're going to write is, in zone R, cell are actively divided through mitosis, where cells are closely arranged. Cells are closely arranged. Next, the cell have thin cell wall, large nucleus, dense cytoplasm, and small vacuole. This increases the number of cells, causes elongation of plant stem. Next, when new cells are forming, cell formed previously are pushed into zone of cell elongation. If I write until mitosis will do so, if you want to write until mitosis, then your next sentence is going to say cells are arranged closely and they are thin cell wall, large nucleus, dense cytoplasm, and small vacuole. So you have to still write the closely arranged in the next sentence. Done? Raise your hand. 5. The question, they will be answer for question you didn't answer. Of course, it will be question that all of the answers, it will be uploaded to the Google Drive, yeah. Can I just write in zone Q? I mean into zone Q. Of course you can write into zone Q also can. It means this, right? Yes, you can. You can write in zone Q. Okay, now next question. The diagram below shows 3 zones of cell Y, X, Y, Z in a seed radical. Okay, this is a radical. Okay, what is a radical? Radical referring to root. Because we have 2 different names for root and shoot. Radical referring to root, we have a thing called plumule. Plumule referring to shoot. To remember, this radical is R, root is R. So RR. So plumule is shoot. So they say this is a root. We have to label the X, Y, Z. How do I know from which direction? Okay, again, this is a root, guys. A root means this is a tip. The leaf will form on top, right? Makes sense, right? The leaf will form on top. Means this is the ending of the tip. You have to look upwards or downwards. Of course, upwards. Same direction, upwards, because this is a root, so it's upward. So X is the first zone. It's called zone of cell division. Y is called zone of cell elongation. This is zone of cell differentiation. This is the bean spurt. The tauge, you all know? The bean spurt. When you plant it, they grow into a shoot like that. This is how it looks like. When you put the red bean, green beans, and then they grow, this is the diagram of them growing. The line is just to confuse you lah, but it's 2 different seeding over here. Have you tried to plant anything when you are younger? Never plant anything when you are younger. You know, you plant the red bean seed and the green bean seed and then they grow. This is the diagram of it. Everything you plant die. Planted an okra for chapter 1 project. Well, okay, do you manage to have one? Do you eat your, okay. Wow, okay. Must be very nice because it's the one that you plant by yourself. Okay, describe the shape and structure of the cell that can be observed in between the zone of seed ring radical. They asked you to write what? The shape and structure of the cell means the characteristic of the shape and structure in between the zone means you're going to talk about the 3 zones because they say in between the zone, right? So we have 3 zones in total. So we talk about zone of cell division first. Zone of cell division, they arrange closely. They have thin cell wall, large vacuole, dense cytoplasm, and small vacuole. So these are the characteristics. Elongation, they have a very big vacuole. Why? Because small vacuole fuse to form into larger vacuole. In differentiation process, they will have a specific function because they undergo differentiation process already. So the tauge is actually eating the root, right? Actually, yes lah. The stem lah, not the root lah, but the stem. Okay, the stem and the root together. So we have X, Y, Z. We start with Z first. The zone of cell division first. And Z, it has small vacuole, dense cytoplasm, thin cell wall, and large nucleus. Y is elongation. It has long and white cell with large vacuole. And then X, cell changes in shape and structure to form into specialized cell with specific function. People with uric acid cannot eat. People with uric acid cannot eat protein that much, which is bean, they are protein and they are high content of protein in beans. So that's why people with high uric acid, they cannot eat beans. Done already? Done? You raise your hand? Then we will go back to the notes. We will be learning secondary structure right now. Wait for 10 of you, we'll be learning secondary structure, yeah? 7, 8, 9, 9, 10. Okay, next we're gonna go back to the notes. We will be learning secondary growth. Okay, so this is secondary growth. So in secondary growth, we have two different growth in plants. It's called primary growth and secondary growth. Primary growth occurs after germination. Secondary growth occurs after primary growth. So the sequence of it will be germination, primary growth, secondary growth. So they follow a sequence. Primary growth increase in the length of the shoot and root. They becomes taller, they becomes deeper into the soil. Secondary growth increase in diameter for them to have a support. Primary growth only occurs in the apical meristem. That's why when they grow taller, they get more sunlight. When they grow deeper, they get more water and mineral. In secondary growth, involve of lateral meristem. Lateral meristem, it means they involve in vascular cambium and cord cambium. We will talk about this later. Yeah? So they involve in two different type of tissue. Apical for primary, secondary with lateral meristem. Okay, next. It happens to all type of plants for primary growth. So as long as they are plants, every plant grow taller. Even the grass, a grass also grow taller, right? Every plant carry out primary growth. But for secondary growth, it only happens to perennial plant. High chances they are just woody plant. Because non-woody plant, we call this as herbaceous plant. Herbs, remember, herbs are non-woody plant. Non-woody plant don't carry out secondary growth. Have you seen any grass? They are very big in diameter. I never see before lah. No, right? So the grass do not increase in size, guys. All small, thin, like when the winds come, they will shake one. Okay, those are called herbaceous plant. A woody plant, when the winds come, they will remain straight. That are called woody plant. Okay. Next, the growth is limited for primary growth. Secondary growth is unlimited. What does limited means? It means growing tall and growing deep has a limitation for plants. The plants cannot reach the sky. Like human, we cannot reach the sky, right? No matter how tall you are, you cannot reach the sky because there's a limitation. Secondary growth is unlimited. They can increase in diameter however they want. So that's why some of the plants, they are 100 over years old. Maybe near 500 or 600 years old. Okay, it can go over 100 years old because growing diameter is unlimited. Like human, growing tall is limited. Growing fat is unlimited. You can have a maximum height, but you can have an unlimited size of your body weight, right? Unlimited, okay? Same what? You cannot grow tall. You can, okay? Not you say cannot, you can. You cannot grow tall. They have two reasons. Either genetic or maybe either environmental. Maybe your gene is the gene that is not very tall. But because of environmental, maybe your spot is not that much, or maybe because you never drink enough calcium or maybe vitamins D when you are younger, maybe that's the reason why you cannot grow tall. Your eating habit also cause one of the reasons. So okay lah, guys, I want to tell you, average height in Malaysia for boys is 165. For girls, it's 155. If you're 165 as a boy, you are normal. If you're 155 as a girl, you are also normal. I mean, unless you are 150. Okay, the pattern of a primary growth is called sigmoid curve. What is a sigmoid curve? Sigmoid is like that. It's called sigmoid. Sorry, a bit ugly. For plant, it will be like that lah. This is sigmoid. Okay, this is a sigmoid curve. Okay, sigmoid curve. I thought girls are 158. Okay, maybe your generation is different. My generation is different, I think. The graph will change every year for human height. Yeah. Okay, next, if it's for this annual series of sigmoid curve, what is the annual series of sigmoid curve? It means it will be like that. Okay, there are many of it. It's called annual series of sigmoid curve. Okay, this is a primary growth and secondary growth. If you want to write differences, actually, I would suggest you to write these two. Increase in length and increase in diameter. only involved in apical meristem, lateral meristem. Okay, and then we have 3 more. At the bottom, you can see it does not form woody tissue. Does not form woody tissue. For secondary groove, forms into woody tissue. Next, we have thin bark. Bark is the skin of the tree. It's called bark. And then this is thick bark. The last one, this one, no annual ring. Absence of annual ring. This is presence of annual ring. This is presence of annual ring. So these 3, you can also write in exam. Teacher is too tall. You mean me? You mean me? I'm too tall? I'm average height. Average height. Not too tall. I'm average height, okay? Maybe when you see me, you think I'm tall. Because the way I wear my shirt. That's why you think I'm tall. Illusion. You're taller than me, what? I remember. Sometimes how you wear your clothes makes you look a bit different. It's a technique, correct? It's a technique. As long as you wear your pants very high up, you will look very tall. Not to say very high up, by the high waist pant, you will look very tall eventually. Okay, next question. Tissue in primary group and secondary group. Okay, as I mentioned, these are the characteristics already, right? Okay, these are the things that you can write in your exam. And then we're going to learn how actually primary forms into secondary. Only woody plant carry out secondary growth. It occurs in stem and also in the root. But I didn't show you root because root is very not common asked in exam. Stem is very commonly asked in exam. So for stem, right, involved of 2 tissue to carry out secondary growth because we learn, right, lateral meristem, we have vascular cambium and cord cambium. So that's why we have vascular cambium and cord cambium. It has to be in a sequence. So vascular cambium needs to occur process first. Only we have cord cambium. Vascular means what? Vascular means xylem and phloem. We call this as vascular, xylem and phloem. Okay, let me draw a diagram for you to see so you can understand better. We will start with the ring. Okay, this ring here is called cambium ring. Cambium ring, okay, it's called cambium ring. The one that grow inwards, is it xylem or phloem? The one that grow inwards, is it xylem or phloem? Correct, it will be xylem. So we call this as a primary xylem. You have to write the word primary. Without writing primary, your answer is incorrect. So it's primary xylem. Okay, next part. On the outer layer, what is this? This is a phloem. Correct, this is a primary phloem. Okay, primary phloem. The word primary, you have to write primary. Okay, not just phloem, primary. Okay, because as I mentioned before, right, cambium is a formation of new tissue, formation of xylem and phloem. If you want to form more xylem, this is the part where they form more xylem. We will form more xylem, but they also grow inwards. This is the area of xylem formation. They grow inwards. They form from the purple color line, they grow inwards. This is secondary xylem. Secondary xylem, same as phloem. Phloem, they will grow outwards at this area here. This is secondary phloem. Secondary phloem. So this is the labeling that you should know for xylem and phloem. Which one is secondary, which one is primary? So everything starts with primary first. Then only you will form into secondary. Okay, then we also have other labeling part. Right in the middle, the white color part is called pith. P-I-T-H. It's called pith. The outer layer, we have outer layer over here. We have one more outer layer actually, but we just don't draw the outer layer. The outer layer is known as epidermis. Okay, from here, we're going to go through the sentence. It says that the cambium divide inwards to form into secondary xylem. Make sense, right? Inwards, the yellow color one, form into secondary xylem. Outwards, the pink color one, to form into secondary phloem. Correct? Then the xylem move towards the pith. The primary, the red color one, move towards the pith because they grow inwards, they move towards the pith. And then the green color one is called primary phloem. Primary phloem, it will be pushed towards the epidermis because they are growing outwards. They push towards the epidermis. What is the difference between pith and cortex? Is the location difference only actually. Pith is in the middle, cortex is over here. It's just the location differences. But both are used to store food lah actually. So this is the labeling of it. Okay, we're gonna go through one more time and you're gonna tell me the answer, yeah? Have you guys done drawing with this already? Yes, okay. I'm gonna delete this thing. I'm gonna draw it one time, but this time you're gonna answer it together with me, yeah? You're gonna answer me, not I'm gonna give you answer, you're gonna answer me. So first we start with the ring. What do you call this as? What is this? Correct. This is a cambium ring. Cambium ring. Okay, next. The one that grow inwards. What is this? Correct. Word use primary. Primary xylem. Then the one that grow outwards. Correct. Word use primary phloem. Next, I want to grow more xylem and phloem. Who forms xylem and phloem? Who forms xylem and phloem? Cambium, correct. So they will start from here. This is a correct secondary xylem, the one that grows inward, secondary xylem. Okay, next, let me use this color, maybe this color. Okay, this one. What about this? All right, this is a secondary phloem. So xylem grow inside, phloem grow outside. What is the inside area here called? The inside area called what? Correct. The primary xylem, they grow towards the pith. The blue color one grow towards the pith. The pink color one grow towards the, correct, they grow towards the epidermis. Let me make it slightly smaller. Grow towards the epidermis. Epidermis, grow towards the epidermis. So when you read the sentence again, you will notice it matches your drawing. Grow inwards secondary xylem, outward secondary phloem. Xylem push towards the pith, phloem push towards the epidermis. These two sentences is the one that you draw over here. Okay, now these two sentences, everybody okay? Okay, understand, right? So now that you understand how does it work, right? Okay, next is say, primary tissue are compressed and taken by lignin. Every xylem has the same function. They are taken by lignin. Lignin has the same function to provide mechanical strength, to make sure that this wood is solid enough to support themselves. That's why we use plant to make it into furniture, because there's a lot of compressed wood. The wood is the one that gives them support. Yeah? So the wood comes from the xylem. So they will compress to provide mechanical strength. So when they are growing, increase in diameter, eventually it causes the skin, which is the epidermis of the stem, they will stretch and crack because they will increase in diameter too fast. So the outer layer of the epidermis started to stretch and crack. Once they crack, bacteria goes in. So they want to prevent themselves from bacterial infection. How? By having this cork cambium to protect them from insects and pathogen infection. It's like human. Imagine one day you grow weight suddenly, like right now you are 40 kg. After 2 months, you become 100 kg. So sudden increase of body weight causes you to have a thing called stretch mark. So that's why pregnant women, they also get stretch mark, because within 9 months time, they grow like maybe double of the body size. So they get a thing called stretch mark. So same as the plant, they don't have a stretch mark, but they will straight away crack. They stretch and they will crack because they cannot grow as fast as the diameter size. When, imagine you are L size, you are a person who are very big size. Can you fit into S size shirt? You force yourself to, cannot, right? So the shirt will also burst, right? It's the same concept as this plant. So when they stretch and crack, the protection is the cork cambium. They form into outer cork cell and inner cortex. The outer cork cell, they form into a bark, which is the protective layer, to prevent them from having infection. So this is the external cork. Okay, so we have a thing called cork, C-O-R-K. How do you know what is a cork? If you look at this particular diagram, you can see the process. This is the process of it. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So they are in a sequence over here. So xylem is the main reason for stem to increase circumference, yes. And for them to form into woody tissue like xylem. Xylem is also the main reason why plant has woody tissue. The wood is from the xylem actually. Now, number one is a very simple diagram that you can see. It's just xylem and phloem, primary xylem, primary phloem. They don't even form into a ring yet. Then they form into a ring already. They form into cambium ring. After a cambium ring, they form into secondary xylem and secondary phloem. Then they will form into a cork, C-O-R-K. This is a cork, C-O-R-K. So cork is the outer layer. Can you see a cork? Yes, you can. When you see any big tree, don't know if you, okay, I believe your school has a big tree. You know, every school has a big tree. So the big tree in your school has the skin where you want to peel off the skin of the tree. You all peel off before? You see a big tree, your hand very itchy, you go and peel off their skin. Have y'all? No, okay? Some people peel off the skin, okay? The moment you peel off the skin, you're peeling off the protective layer. So if you peel off the entire tree, the plant will get infection. It's like people peel off your scalp. You know, sometimes you have a cut, you get the brown color thing, and people pull it off. The idea is the same, guys. You're supposed to protect yourself from infection, but you peel off it, then the bacteria goes in. Same goes to the plant. Only woody plant, which is a woody plant that undergoes secondary growth, they will have a cork, which is the skin of the plant. Only a woody plant. A non-woody plant don't have a cork. You will never see cork in a non-woody plant. Example, banana tree and papaya tree. I believe everybody's seen papaya tree and banana tree because we're in Malaysia. Your neighbor confirm got one person who plant banana and papaya. Got see before, right? You look at the stem itself. Is it rough or is it smooth? The banana and papaya tree. Is it rough or smooth? It's very smooth, right? They got no skin one, guys. You cannot peel off anything from there because they are non-woody plant. If you look at durian tree, rambutan tree, those are woody plant. To identify what is a woody plant and non-woody plant, I always tell my student as a joke, okay, joking method. If one day you kick the plant collapse, the plant is a non-woody plant. If you kick the plant, you collapse, the plant is a woody plant. Guys, I'm just joking, but it works, but you don't try. Because I scared you go and kick your mother banana tree, your mother gonna kick your butt, okay? But it's one of the method lah. So this is the secondary growth formation. This question, they will ask in structure, they will also ask in essay question. Is it very common? Very common, guys, okay? Very common. Very common ask question in essay. They ask you to write the entire thing. Here, it has to be in a sequence. Vascular cambium first and only cord cambium. Need to write vascular cambium from cambium ring first. You can say vascular cambium undergo mitosis can already actually. Don't need to write cambium ring also, never mind. But you can have to write mitosis. They undergo mitosis first. Then only you have formed into cambium ring. Okay, anybody has question to ask over here? Everybody okay? Question you can ask me, okay? No question. We're going to look at the next part. The next part is the importance of primary growth and secondary growth. This is to plants. Why plants needs to carry out primary growth? Primary growth is for them to increase in length, achieve maximum height, absorb more sunlight, lengthen root to absorb more water and mineral. Secondary growth, increase in diameter to have a mechanical support. If you have to write more importance of secondary growth, I would suggest you to write number 5. They have thick and strong bark, reduce water evaporation, protect plant against infection, live longer by increasing the chance of production and reproduction. Okay, these two are for primary growth importance. Okay, maybe I use a red color. Okay, these two are for importance for primary growth. Secondary growth, you can write number 1 and number 5. It's more than enough for you to know because it's not going to be AC, it's just going to be structure. Maximum mark that you will see is just 4 marks. Maybe 2 marks for primary, 2 marks for secondary, or maybe 4 marks for secondary. It's more than enough already actually for this one for secondary growth. This is to plant, guys. This is why plant needs to carry out secondary growth. Then the question will also ask you, why do you think as a human, we want the plant to carry out secondary growth? Why as a human, we want the plant to carry out secondary growth? Because we want them to give us money, to change in the exchange of money. Economic importance, money related. This is human. Okay, to human, why you want the plant to carry out secondary growth? Because you want money. We can make it into a timber. What is a timber? Timber is strong and hard wood. Strong and hard wood is for them to have a supportive mechanism. We make it into beam for buildings, which is the tiang. The supportive structure, we call it as beam for buildings. High quality furnitures. How do we define as a high quality furnitures? We will depending on whether they are a solid wood or whether they are not a solid wood. The furniture that you buy right now, if it's less than 1,000 ringgit, confirm it's not solid wood. Because solid wood, any furniture that you buy, it will be more than 4 figure. Any furniture, a chair, a table, anything, it will be more than 4 figure. If it's a dining table, it will be 5 figure. So when you hit onto the table, it's different sound. And you cannot even lift the table up because it's too heavy. All of the chairs that you buy online, it's not going to be solid wood. Okay, this one, the one I'm using right now, it's not even a solid wood. If you go to your school, you knock the door, if it's empty and hollow inside, it's not a solid wood. So you can actually hear the difference between that. Okay, presence of anno ring. The anno ring makes the furniture more attractive. What is anno ring? Which is the ring, like I call it as anno ring. Anno ring, people love anno ring, but people cannot afford to buy a solid wood. So what do? They make a plywood, a wood, they compress together, and they print an anno ring on top of that, and they paste onto it. So all of these, the one you see, and it's very light, those are printed one. A printed anno ring is not significant. It means all table looks the same. But if it's a real plant, anno ring, it will only just for the particular table. No other plant will have the same pattern of anno ring. It's very special for anno ring. So what are the plant that we make it into a building beams or furniture? We have Meranti and Chengal. These are the one of the two species that we plant a lot in Malaysia. So we will plant this a lot and we sell it to other country. One log of Meranti and Chengal is few thousand. Before making it to furniture, I'm saying the entire log is few thousand ringgit. It's very expensive. Meranti and Chengal. In exam, don't need to write the scientific name, guys. Just write Meranti and Chengal. Don't need to write the scientific name, yeah. It means you have to know the name lah. What I'm trying to say is you have to know the name because in exam they will ask you to write the name. Wood and bark means the outer layer and the wood itself, the compressed wood. The wood and bark, we have Merawan and Meranti. They can produce into resin and oil. What is the resin and oil? Resin can make it into a paint, manufacturing of paint and varnish. Paint is the paint, normal paint. Varnish is a removal. That's made from resin. Oil is a manufacturing of medicine, soap, and perfume. Oil is the essential oil. So if it's oil, medicine should be quite expensive. The soap more expensive than the normal one that you use, and perfume. If you go to some of the perfume store, which is the branded one, maybe like, there's a brand called Aesop, AESOP. So they use a lot of resin and oil. Those are the products that are very expensive because it's natural. It's not chemical. You know, some perfume, they have smell like woody smell, like cedarwood. They have like whatever's the wood smell. Some of the wood smell are chemical production, means they use chemical and they make it into this smell. Some of the smell are from the plant, the legit plant. That's why those are the expensive one because it's natural. Some hotel will use Aesop, means the hotel is very rich. I mean, I would say maybe it's a bit healthy lah. I mean, less chemical, but I actually don't care lah, guys. You are in this generation already. Whatever you use has a chemical. Whatever you eat also has a chemical. If you think that you want to be healthy, then you have to stop eating fast food and also Maggie cup. Then you're gonna be very healthy. If it's not, then every food that we consume in life has chemical. You love to drink boba tea, all chemical. Eat grass. Our grass got pesticides, herbicides, also got chemical. Our air got air pollution. Our soil got soil pollution. So everything in this world is polluted. You cannot be 100% one. They must be a little bit polluted. Okay, next we have latex to make it into tire and gloves. So tire and gloves are made from latex. Please don't write condom. I know condom is one of the example for latex, but we don't write condom, okay? We write tires and gloves. Ornamental plant. Okay, what is ornamental? Ornamental is a decoration plant. People use this to decorate the street or decorate the house. It's a real plant. Ornamental plants are the plants that do not really have fruits. If you look at Malaysia, the roadside, we have many different species of plant, but none of the plant that you see on the roadside has fruits. Have you seen any fruits like dropping down? No, right? Because those are the plants just for decoration purposes. They are flowers, but they are not fruits. It causes pollution if there is fruits. So it's just flowers. Flowers is for reproduction. No choice, they have to reproduce. Fruit trees. Fruit trees are also under secondary growth. We have durian, mango, rambutan. They have a longer lifespan, do not have to replant every single year. They can bear fruit many, many times. Like durian, you can have many fruits for the next 10 years. They can still producing fruit. They can be local consumption. It can be exported. They can get income. This part here, They will ask in structure or even essay question also. Very common also ask this question because chapter 1 has a few very common ask essay question. This is a very common ask essay question. They ask you, why do you think that the plant needs to undergo secondary growth? What is the importance towards economy? Economy is this. This is the list. Everything here you have to know because you're going to write in an exam. Usually the marks that I see is 6 marks maximum lah. I never see any question that's more than 6 marks yet. Sometimes 8 marks, but mostly is 6 marks. 6 marks is the question. Okay, next one is an annual ring. One ring representing how many years? One ring representing 1 year, correct? One ring is 1 year. It's not 10 years. Because I don't know why some people, when they're in primary school, the friends will tell them one ring is 10 years. One ring is only 1 year. How annual ring is being produced? Annual ring is being produced by 2 seasons called spring and summer. During springtime, they get enough of water and sunlight. They have large and thin xylem vessel, brighter in color. Summer, they have narrow xylem vessel and darker in color. How to remember? Remember, summer, very hot. That's why they are in darker in color. Like human, very hot. You also get tan. You get tan lines. So that's why they are thinner. So they are lines, the tan lines, very, very tan line. So alternate color, light and dark color, they form into a ring pattern. In Malaysia, we have no spring and summer, right? It's just hot. So do you think Malaysia plant has annual ring? Of course, we have one of the country that export wood cannot have no annual ring, right? How Malaysia forms annual ring when you have no fall season is depending on raining season and dry season. They can also form into annual ring. So this is how it looks like when you zoom in the diagram. To count annual ring is one darker color, one lighter color. This as one ring. One darker color, one lighter color as one ring. So you can count the age of this plant over here. How do you count? Lighter color, darker color as 1 year old, right? So this is 1, lighter, darker color, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. The outermost layer we don't count because this is the location for epidermis and cork. So we don't count the outer layer. So this is 19 years old, older than you guys. So this is how we count annual ring. But in real life, it's very hard for you to count because the ring pattern sometimes is thinner, wider, is different. What about autumn and winter? Autumn and winter got no leaves, so they cannot carry out photosynthesis. Autumn is where the phase where they have leaf falling, right? Winter is where there's no leaf. So these two are not even in the list of formation of annual ring. Formation of annual ring is also one of the questions you will see in your exam, but usually it's structural question only lah. Okay, anybody has question in this page before we haven't end class? Yes, we're gonna try some question before we end the class, yeah? Anybody has question to ask in this page? Okay, now we're gonna try some question together. Give me a moment. Let me find my question page first. Let me find back my question. Where's my question? Okay, here. Okay, we're gonna look at some of the question. Maybe we look at question 10 first. We will be doing 10 and 11 and then we end class. Okay, page 23. Page 23, guys. Page 23. Diagram below shows secondary growth of a stem of the eudicots. Identify structure P, Q, R, S, T, and U. We label P and Q first. Very easy. P and Q. Can you guys tell me? What about page 7? Page 7, no time to teach now. Maybe you can find in my YouTube. Maybe I got teach page 7 before. Like 2 years ago, I think. So P, can you guys tell me what is P? P is outside, correct? We cannot just write phloem, guys. What is the word you have to use? Primary or secondary? Primary, correct. This is primary phloem. What about Q? Q is primary xylem, correct? This is primary xylem. Okay, then we have R. R is before the epidermis. R is known as cork cambium because cork cambium will allow them to form into a cork later, cork cambium. Then we have S and T. What is S? What is S? Correct. S is inside. S is inside. Inside is xylem. So it's secondary xylem. S is inside. This is a secondary xylem. And then T is outside. So it's secondary flowem. Flowem, okay, secondary flowem. The U labeling is a bit off. This U labeling is supposed to point at this part here. These are the part here. The U labeling is supposed to be here. So what is U? U is the cork. Very good. C-O-R-K, the cork. Okay. Explain the role of R in woody plants. They ask you to write what is the function of cork cambium. Okay, let me write down the sequence first. This cork cambium is the one that carry out secondary growth. In woody plant, which is R, they will carry out secondary growth. This secondary growth causes your cork cambium to form into outer cork cell and inner cortex. Okay, outer cork cell and inner cortex. We're gonna form this into 2 sentences. We're gonna talk about the function of it as well. So we're gonna say R forms new cork cell on outer side to protect the plant from mechanical injury. And then next, it also produce inner side, which is inner cortex, that enable plant to increase in diameter. Then you raise your hand, wait for 10 of you. We try the next question. 5, 7, 8, 11. Okay, what is the significance of primary growth and secondary growth? This is a very easy question. We just write what do they increase of. Okay, so we have primary and we have secondary. In exam, please write in sentence, yeah. Primary growth increase in length, very good. The other one increase in diameter, correct. This one increase in length of stem and root. This is increase in diameter of stem and root. Done? Ten of you done? Then we try the next question. 3, 4. Oh, need to answer. Yes, sorry. Forgot to explain. Cause it's 2 marks. My bad. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we're gonna say the other to explain function. You're gonna say increase in height to absorb sunlight for photosynthesis. And then this one, you're gonna say to provide support and mechanical strength to plant. And mechanical strength to plant. Forgot to explain. If you want to write the primary, increase in length of root to absorb more water and mineral, also correct. Then you raise your hand, wait for 10. We're gonna try the next question. 7, 8, 12. Okay, primary growth and secondary growth allow plants to increase in size. State 2 similarity and 2 differences between primary growth and secondary growth in plants. They want you to write allow plants to increase in size. They ask you to write similarity and differences. Okay, over here, the question already mentioned they increase in size. So we cannot write this as a similarity because it's in the question. We're going to write something that is not in the question. Primary growth and secondary growth, both growth occurs in only woody plant. Correct? Because non-woody plant don't carry out secondary growth. So we're going to say both growth occurs in woody plant. Next, you're going to say both growth involve in mitosis. So no matter whether they are growing taller or growing wider, it's mitosis, it's under cell division. Whenever you write similarity, you must start with the word both. If you never start with the word both, your answer is not correct. So you must start with the word both, okay? Differences. Primary growth and secondary growth. We can talk about whether they have annual ring or not. Primary growth, do they have annual ring? No annual ring, right? So absence of annual ring. This one, presence of annual ring. Okay, and then for primary growth, we can say that they have bark, whether they are thin bark or thick bark. You can also say that whether they have woody tissue or non-woody tissue also can. So you're going to say thin bark. This is thick bark. Try not to write herbaceous only because primary growth can also occur in non-woody plant. Because growing tall, all plants can grow tall. So you write the one that I marked just now. The one I marked just now. Okay, you write the one I marked just now. Merawan and Chengal are two examples of plant that undergo secondary growth. Give one characteristic of plant that undergo secondary growth. Every plant that carry out secondary growth, the wood produced are strong and tough. That's why they can make it into furniture. If they are just soft, then the moment they step, then they break into half. So that's why they have to be strong and tough. Presence of annual ring also can, both also correct. So you're gonna say it has strong and hardwood. Strong and hardwood. What are the commercial uses of this plant? 2 marks. Any two thing also can. You can say correct. They have to produce into resin and oil, furniture, building beam. Any two example. Decorative item, correct. So you're gonna say use as building beam. And then we're gonna say to make it into high quality furniture. High quality furniture. Done? We're gonna try one more question before we end the class. So we just try one more question 11 and then we end the class. Okay, next question. Question 11, 3.1 shows the cross-section of a Unicode root. First, we will label X, Y, Z first. This X, Y, Z, starting with Y. Y is a star shape. If this is a star shape, what is this? Correct, this is a xylem. Okay, star shape is a xylem. And then the dot around it will be, the dot will be flowworm. Correct, the dot will be flowworm. Okay, if you don't know what is Z, I'm going to give you the answer first because later you will figure it out. Z is referring to this part. This is the part, yeah? This Z is vascular cambium. Vascular cambium. For them to form more xylem and phloem is called vascular cambium. They ask you to write the function of X and Y. This one, you do it by yourself, guys, because we did the same question just now, right? You do by yourself. Structure Z separates structure X and Y during secondary growth. Explain the process that takes place in structure Z, which enable root to increase in size during secondary growth. So now I can confirm that Z is a vascular bundle or cambium. Why? Because they separate X and Y. So the function of vascular cambium is for them to produce more xylem and more phloem. So they want to form primary xylem and primary phloem. So the xylem form inwards or outwards. Xylem form inwards, same thing. Phloem forms outwards, right? Even though this is a root, Just now in the notes we learned about stem. It's the same thing, guys. The xylem goes inwards, the phloem go outwards. So it's by vascular cambium. How do they form? Mitosis process. Then it will produce more different tissue. So you're going to say structure Z, or you can just Z, is vascular tissue. Okay, maybe I write the sequence first. I'll write it over here. So we start with vascular cambium. They undergo mitosis to form into cambium ring. Okay, so the one that grow inwards is the secondary xylem. The one that grow outwards is the secondary phloem. So we're going to form this into 4 sentences. Then we will write Z divide by mitosis to form into complete cambium ring. Cell in cambium ring divide inwards to form secondary xylem. Sorry, vascular cambium. Sorry, guys, I write it wrongly. Why did I write tissue? Cambium, thanks. It's vascular cambium. Top right correctly, answer right wrongly. Also wrong. Okay, so cambium. Then next, cell in cambium ring divide outwards to form secondary phloem. Okay, done. You raise your hand. Wait for 10 of you. We will do next question. Okay, well, you all write very fast. Is it because you all want to end class soon? Okay. Predict what happens to the plant if structure Z is not formed. The question says is not formed. Okay, when the question says not formed, it means this is a negative statement. When we have a negative statement, your answer has to be a negative answer. What is a negative answer means? It means you have to write unable, you have to write cannot, malfunction. So your answer and your question has to match. You have to write the function first, and then you're going to write unable. Unable to carry out. So that is the thing that you have to write. In your sentence, you need to have unable. Cannot form secondary xylem. Cannot undergo secondary growth. Cannot form into cambium ring. Cannot form into secondary phloem. So you're going to write the word unable. So maybe you can say that Zach unable to carry out mitosis. The plant root will not be able to carry out secondary growth. There will not be an increase of diameter. Plant cannot maintain stability. Cambium ring and annual ring is the same thing. It's not the same thing. Cambium ring is the one that forms xylem and phloem. Annual ring is a product of summer and spring. Annual ring is to know the age of the plant. Annual ring is the age. Cambium ring is to form more xylem and phloem. So they are not the same thing. So remember, when the question is a negative statement, your answer has to be a negative answer. Not, cannot. Everything has to be a negative answer. Will there be a recording for this class? I joined it. Yes, you can watch in YouTube, yeah? Okay, done with this? Wait for 10 of you. We will try the last question. The last question is a 10 marks essay question for differences. Wow, very fast. Okay, next. 3.2 shows an Unicode has undergo secondary growth. Based on 3.1 and 3.2, compare and contrast the primary growth and secondary growth in the roots of Unicode. Compare and contrast referring to similarity and differences. You must write similarity and differences. You cannot just write similarity or just differences. The question is 10 marks. You're going to write maybe 4, 6, 5, 5, your choice, as long as you have 10 things to write. Similarity, both processes or both growth increases in size. Is the one that in the question just now we did in question 10, right? So we're going to say both growth increase in size. Next, you can say both growth involve in mitosis. Next, both growth involve in meristematic cell. Next, both growth occurs in woody plant. So remember, you're going to start with the word both. Both is the keyword. Both, okay, both. If you write 4 differences, means you're going to write, you write 4 similarity, means you have to write 6 differences. Again, you can also write the answer that we did just now. We did the annual ring, right? So this is absence of annual ring. This one, presence of annual ring. We also did the bark. Remember, we did the bark. How about them? Both are permanent. You can also write that permanent tissue. A primary growth, they also carry out that. They also are permanent tissue because we write meristematic cell already. So if you write meristematic cell, then you cannot write permanent cell because it will be contrasting your own answer. Okay, tin, not called, is bark. So this is tin bark. This is thick bark. And then we're going to say whether they have woody tissue or not. This one, do not form woody tissue. This one form woody tissue. Okay, then next, we can also talk about increase in length, increase in diameter. You can say involve apical meristematic tissue. This one involve lateral meristematic tissue, or cell also can. You can write tissue or you can write cell. You can say one has primary xylem, primary phloem. The other one has primary and secondary xylem and phloem. Sorry, got one more. 6, right? This is 5 only. This one consists of primary tissue. This one consists of primary and secondary tissue. Primary and secondary tissue. So we have 4 plus 6, 10 marks. Remember, both left and right correct is only considered as 1 mark. So this correct is 1 mark. This correct, this wrong is no marks. So both left and right has to be correct. Only you will get marked when you write differences. And now for those who have done, we will end here for today. So if you want to have more revision video, please go to my YouTube channel. Go and watch the video, okay? There's many videos you can watch in my YouTube channel. Just find my name. You can find it in YouTube channel already. Anybody has question to ask? No question, then I will see you guys when I see you guys. If it's not, I will see you guys next week in my normal class. Okay, bye-bye. See you guys. Bye-bye.